Welcome to episode 50 of Gods and Heroes of Ancient Greece. My name is MyLinda Butterworth, and today we continue with the section of the Seven Against Thebes, with the story, The Attack Upon Thebes. The oracle had been fulfilled. Creon bridled his sense of utter despair, while Eteocles assigned 7 bands of men to the 7 guardians of the gates, dispatched rider after rider to replace them, and set up light infantry behind the shield bearers, so that every site where attack was probable might be fully protected. And now the Argive army moved across the plain, and the storming of the walls began. The air shook with ringing song, and trumpets blared, both from the ramparts of Thebes and the ranks of the enemy. First, Parthenopaeus, son of Atalanta, the huntress, led his battalions, shield crowded against shield, toward one of the gates. Embossed on his own shield was the image of his mother slaying the Aetolian boar with her swift arrow. Amphiaraus, the soothsayer, moved toward a second gate, and in his chariot were sacrificial animals to offer the gods. His weapons were unadorned, and his shield shining and empty. Hepodam advanced toward the third gate. His emblem was 100-eye Argus, watching Io, whom Hera had changed into a heifer. Tydeus guided his men towards the fourth gate. A shaggy lion skin was pictured on his shield, and in his right hand he brandished a torch, swinging it angrily from side to side. King Polynices, exiled from his country, led the attack against the fifth gate, and his coat of arms was a team of horses rearing in rage. The sixth gate was the goal of Capaneus, who boasted of being the equal of Ares, the war god. Carved on the metal surface of his shield was a giant who had lifted a whole city from its foundations and was carrying it on his shoulders. This was meant to symbolize the fate Capaneus had in mind for Thebes. Toward the seventh and last gate came Adrastus, king of the Argives, and his escutcheon showed 100 dragons bearing off in their jaws the children of Thebes. When the 7 leaders were close to the gates, they opened battle with slings, bows, and spears. But the Thebans fended off this first attack so fiercely that the Argives were forced to withdraw. Then Tydeus and Polynices bethought themselves quickly and cried, "Comrades, why wait until we fall behind the missiles? Now, this very instant, let us storm the gates with our foot soldiers, riders, and charioteers, all together with one mass charge." His words spread through the host like flame, and the Argives took heart again. They surged forward with concerted strength, but the outcome was no happier than before. With bashed heads, the attackers sank at the feet of the defenders. Whole battalions died beneath the wall, and the dry earth was turned into rivers of blood. At that, Parthenopaeus hurled himself at the gate like a tempest, and called for fire and axes to demolish and burn it to the ground. Periclymenus, a Theban hero whose post was on the rampart nearby, watched his efforts, and at the given moment tore loose from the tall wall a mass of stone large enough to fill a wagon, and it fell, crushing the blond head of the besieger and grinding his bones to dust. When Eteocles saw that this gate was safe, he flew to the others. At the fourth, he came from Tydeus, raging like a dragon. He jerked his head under his helmet with its streaming plumes, and the shield was holding over it shrilled with the clang of the metal discs fashioned around the rim. High, toward the wall, he hurled his lance, and the band of shield-bearers around him launched a hail of spears at the top of the rampart, so that the Thebans had to retreat from the edge. At this moment, Eteocles appeared on the scene. He resembled them as a huntsman gathers the pack which is scattered and led them back to the wall. Then he hastened on from gate to gate. He met Capaneus, who was carrying a tall ladder and boasting that Zeus himself should not keep him from razing the conquered city to the ground. With these insolent words, he set the ladder against the wall, and in a pelting storm of stones climbed the slippery rungs under the cover of his shield. But it was not the Thebans who punished him for his impious vaunt. Zeus himself lay in wait for the offender and slew him with a thunderbolt just as he was leaping from ladder to wall. The blow was so mighty that the whole earth quaked. His limbs were strewn around the ladder, his hair flamed up to the sky, and his blood spattered the rungs. Like wheels, his hands and feet rolled in a circle, and his trunk burned on the ground. King Adrastus took this for a sign that the Father of Gods was hostile to his undertaking. He guided his men away from the city moat and gave orders to retreat. And when the Thebans saw the happy omen given them by Zeus, they rushed from their city on foot in chariots and wrought confusion among the Argive host. Chariot clashed against chariot, and bodies struck the earth. The Thebans were victorious, but not until they had driven the enemy far from their walls did they return to their city. And here is where I end my tale for today. But I'll be back with more tales. Many more tales. Until then, my friends, enjoy the journey.